What's up, Bama Nation? How we feeling? Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you on a Wednesday from the home location. In my own words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Bama taking on South Carolina this weekend. Saban Field, Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff. Here's the big thing. Bama moving on from what happened last week. They flushed it, moving on. Bama looking to bounce back. Bama looking to move forward. So how does the Crimson Tide do this? That's the big question coming from you, the Alabama football fans. How does Alabama bounce back? How does Alabama move forward? How does Alabama forge on with the remainder of this season, starting off with this matchup here against South Carolina? I see five things Alabama has to do in order to move forward. And I think number one, it starts off with it's got to establish a rushing attack. Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, Richard Young, these guys are way too good to not be utilized. These guys are way too good to have a small amount of carries, a small number of carries. And I understand Justice wants to be dynamic in terms of catching the ball out the backfield, pass blocking. That's very important. Blocking as a whole, very important. But when you have 4- and 5-star running backs like Alabama's got, you have to feature them offensively by giving them the football and allowing them to wear down the opposition. Now, South Carolina, they've got some quality edge rushers up front, but how do you neutralize that pass rush? By running the football right at it. Meet them strength on strength. That's what you do. You run the football right at pass rushers. You meet those pass rushers head on, strength on strength. And that's what Alabama needs to do this weekend and moving forward, starting with truly establishing a ground game, truly establishing a rush attack. You have to do that. I understand Alabama likes to do the zone reads, to design quarterback runs with Jalen Milroe. That's cool. That's fun. That's exciting. It provides a different wrinkle. It provides a different element. But when it comes down to smash mouth, old school, mano-a-mano type football, give the ball to your backs. Line them up. Tell your offensive line, we're going to out-physical our opponent, and you run the football, right? So that's one way. That's one aspect, but Alabama can move forward here running this football. Number two, in terms of moving forward, is the communication. Defensively, it needs to be crisp. You got to have crisp communication. One of the issues that the Alabama players have been having is Kane Womack as the defensive coordinator. You got to get the calls out faster. What does that look like? Remains to be seen, but he's got to get the calls out faster. He gets the calls out faster. This defense on the field can have the calls. I can spread it around. If there's changes, if there's adjustments needing to be made, once that call comes out, those players can adjust as they see fit. But the call coming out from Coach Womack, it's got to be faster. You got to get that call out fast, quick, so that if there's any type of adjustment that needs to be made, that adjustment can be made. So number two, in terms of moving forward, that communication, especially on defense, that's got to be right. That's got to be directly where it needs to be at. That's number two. Number three, and moving forward, when you look at Alabama, is on third down, offensively and defensively against South Carolina, Bama's got to be sharp on third down, offensively and defensively. What does that look like? Offensively, that's Alabama converting third downs, keeping themselves in third and short or third and manageable and converting those third downs. But also, this is Bama's defense getting off the field on third down. Gotta win third down. Getting off the field on third down. So that's big and moving forward. Offensively, you are converting those third downs. You're moving the chain on those third downs. Defensively, it's you getting off the field on third downs. Not allowing yourself defensively to be tired out. Getting off the field. So that's number 3. The number 4 thing, and moving on to South Carolina, is Bama's got to find a wide receiver after Ryan Williams it can trust. Hollywood is doing his thing. I mean, he has separated himself as the number 1 option at wide receiver, and nobody's refuting that. Ryan Williams is the number 1 wide receiver on this team. Period. He's number 1. But who has separated themselves as the number 2 guy? Because there's going to come a point, I don't know when that point's going to come, but there's going to become a point where a team is going to frustrate Ryan. We thought it would be Georgia. That didn't happen. You know, Vanderbilt, Ryan still kind of got his. So there's going to come a point, once again, I have no idea when that comes, but there's going to come a point, somebody, some team, some defensive coordinator is going to frustrate Ryan. So somebody in this receiver room has got to step up and be the number 2 guy. Whether it's Jeremy Bernard, whether it's Kendrick Law, and I hope Kane Law's back this week. Now, according to Kane and DeBoer, in today's SEC coaches teleconference, he said Kane Law on pace to be back, on track to be back, going through, practice, looks good, progressing. Now DeBoer is not saying that he's going to be full go back, but Kane Law doing all the necessary things to be back this week. So, hoping you have Kendrick Law. The same thing with Kobe Prentice. Took a shot to the head there against Vanderbilt. I know a lot of y'all looking at that. That should have been targeting. That should have been called for targeting. I would agree with that. I do agree with that. The call wasn't made. It is what it is. The same thing for Kobe Prentice. Going through practice, progressing well, on pace, on track to be back. Hopefully Alabama has him as well. But the key to this whole drill, number 4 thing, somebody has to step up behind Ryan Williams. Hollywood Williams, the freshman, is doing everything he's supposed to do. But there's going to come a point where a team is going to lock up Ryan. So you got to have a number 2 guy step up. And then last but not least, here's the main thing. Last but not least, moving forward, Bama's got to learn how to sustain some drives. I love the explosive plays as much as the next man. I love the explosive plays as much as the next guy. But you got to sustain some drives. You got to win the time of possession battle. You got to be able to wear down the opposing team. That has to happen. You have to do that, right? You have to do that because if you are not wearing down the opposing team, then you are literally keeping your defense on the field longer than what they need to be. So Bama's got to sustain some drives. This is how Bama moves forward, right? Number 1, you got to be able to run the football. Number 2, defensively, you have to communicate. Like, you have to. This is from Kane Womack down to the players. You got to communicate. You have to. If you don't communicate, that's when frustration happens. That's when bad defense happens. That's when bad plays happen. You can't have that. Got to communicate. That's number two. Number three, you have to win third downs. That's a non-negotiable. You got to win third downs. Offensively, you got to win third downs to keep your offense on the field, to keep drives alive. Defensively for Alabama, you got to win third downs. You got to get off the field. And if a team goes for it on fourth down, you got to win fourth down. You got to get off the field. You got to. Number four, in terms of the wide receivers, we know what Ryan Williams can do. We've seen it. We know what Ryan Williams can do. We've seen it. So who's the second guy? Who's the second guy that can consistently step up, put pressure on the opposing team's secondary to have the opposition go, we got to defend him too. Can't just be Ryan. We got to defend this other guy too. Right? So who's number two receiver stepping up? And then last but not least, you look at, you got to sustain drives. You have to sustain drives moving forward. This is how you move forward against South Carolina. This is how you move forward against South Carolina. You got to do those 5 things, period. But we're going to go to some of your comments right here as you guys are getting in on a Wednesday. We appreciate all of you guys showing us love on the show. We have a daily super chat go, $100. Daily super chat go, $100 right there. We're bringing this to you from the home location. We got Bama Nola with the Roll Tide. Roll Tide to you, Bama Nola, being in here. My guy Mike Coleman, Stephen M. Roll Tide to you, Mike. Happy to have you in here on a Wednesday. My guy Joseph Higginbottom, Roll Tide, roll, Bama family. Appreciate you, Joseph, helping us out here on the show. My man Don Parker, Roll Tide, everyone. And good evening to you, Don. We got Farouk Al-Amin. Farouk, what's up, man? What's up, Farouk? Happy to have you in here shouting at everybody. Deborah Franklin, Roll Tide to you, Deborah. Happy to have you a part of the show. Roll Tide and rise up, Roll Tide family. Appreciate Roll Tide and rise up right there. We got my guy, Damon Davis. Roll Tide, everyone. Roll Tide, you Damon. GT18 is in here. Roll Tide, y'all. Appreciate you, GT18. Roll Tide and rise up. I've moved on from Vandy, but I'm very skeptical about this team. I will believe it when they do it. Roll Tide and rise up. You have every right for the answer that you gave, right? We want to see results. We want to see action. We're tired of the what I'm going to do speeches, what I can do speeches. We're about action. Alabama football is about action. You as the Alabama fan and consumer of Tide football, you are about action. So now against South Carolina, how does that action come, right? How does the action come? King and the board has to have the idea now the honeymoon lovey-dovey stage is over. It's about coaching now. It's about having that action now, right? And it was pretty cool getting a chance to talk with T.M. Smith, veteran defensive lineman. He even mentioned that DeBoer's demeanor has changed since the Vanderbilt loss. He's buckled down even more. Now, what does that look like? Does that buckled down more look like he's using more language out there in practice to get the players' attention? I don't know. Could be. I don't know. Is it he's doing things differently out there to make sure that he's getting his message across? Could be. I don't know. But the thing I did hear from Alabama defensive lineman T.M. Smith on Tuesday is even the demeanor, even the attitude from King and DeBoer has changed. It has shifted since what happened. He's buckled down more. So we're about to see what that looks like this weekend against South Carolina. We're going to see what does a buckled down King and DeBoer looks like. We got Todd riding in Roll Tide. Hope everyone has had a great week and the team can focus and get right this week. Todd, that's the main thing. That the team refocuses, gets back right, is shifted toward the mission. What is the mission? Dominate everybody on your schedule. Play to your standard. Not the opponent, but to your standard. What is your standard in Alabama football? Being a relentless competitor, and when the other team walks off the field, they're going, my God, I don't want to play against Alabama anymore. That's the mindset. Or at least that was the mindset in the 17 years under Coach Saban. But the focus this week has to be on, we are having a bounce back game. We are not letting what happened with Vanderbilt define it. Let's see here. My man Damon Davis writes in, I've moved on from Vandy, but still, hey, he's still mad. Damon, and as an Alabama fan, you have every right to be upset, right? That's your passion. As an Alabama fan, you want the best from your team. You expect the best from your team. You expect the best from your guys. And if you're not passionate, there's a problem there, right? It's a problem. So here's the message this week. How do you move forward? How do you bounce back? How do you ensure yourself as Alabama football? How do you ensure your fans that what happened last week, it does not repeat itself? That's the main thing. We got Chance Fawcett getting us a Roll Tide. Roll Tide to your Chance. Christian Hughes. Roll Tide. Stephen M. Happy to have you here, Christian. Todd writes in. Hit the like button for our guy, Stephen. Hey, y'all heard Todd. Hit the like button right there. Smash that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate the love coming from all of you. Damon Davis writes in, DeBoer has to stop scoring so quickly on long drives and possessions. That's the thing. You got to have a mixture. You got to have some sustained drives where you're taking time of possession. Now, I understand if you throw a pass to a receiver like a Ryan Williams and he's just able to break free and score, that happens. I get it. That happens. But more times than not, Bama needs to have those drives where you are wearing down the opponent. You are wearing down the opposition. You got to have those drives too. It needs to be a mixture of both there offensively. Don Parker writes in, I normally would have moved on from Vandy, but this loss was ridiculous. I honestly was not surprised since I've been calling out their bad play since the first game. And Don, you are one of the passionate fans, and a lot of people have ridiculed you for that, Don, but you are one of the more passionate fans, and you need to be. And the reason why is passionate fans get their point across, and they get the job done. How do they get the job done? They get the job done by having everybody else see what's really, truly going on and getting stuff fixed. That's what it's about, getting it fixed. We have seen here that Alabama not playing its best ball, not playing quality football. How does it get fixed? What needs to be done to get this fixed? It starts with this week's game against South Carolina coming to Tuscaloosa. Now, I understand South Carolina hasn't necessarily been good on the road this season itself, but we all know when it comes to Alabama, it's going to get everybody's best game. So you're going to get Shane Beamer's best game. You're going to get the Gamecocks' best game. Bama's got to be on point ready. Like what happened should fuel it to the core to be just that ready to go this weekend. Let's see here. Roll Tide and Rise Up writes in, I fear we lose a couple of running backs to the portal if we don't start using these guys. You got to start using your backs. You are correct, Roll Tide and Rise Up. You got to use your backs. you got to give them the football, especially against South Carolina. You got to give them the football. I mean, having Justice and Jam combined for just 11 carries the week prior is unacceptable. You got to get these backs the football and let them run the ball. See your other receivers be open, just got to give them the ball. That's the main thing. Get these guys the ball. Get Emmanuel Henderson the football. E-Man's been stepping up. Cole Adams has been stepping up. You've got guys that have been stepping up. You got to give them the ball. Jeremy Bernard's been doing some things. Kobe Prentice wants the football, and when he's targeted, he does make catches. You got to get these guys the ball more. You're starting to involve a bit more of a tight ends. Get these guys the ball more. You don't have to force feed Ryan Williams. He's special. We're seeing it. But you don't have to force feed him. Get other guys involved as well. Make the defense have to defend everybody. Let's see, a redneck writes in. Roll Tide to your redneck right there. Damon Davis writes in. Womack's defense has given up 74 points in 2 games. Unacceptable. And Kane knows it. Kane knows. This is unacceptable. You get up 74 points in 2 games. For 6 quarters, you have not made adjustments. And though you claim you've made adjustments, they haven't taken root. So 6 quarters, you haven't made adjustments. You've given up 74 points in 2 games. That's got to end against South Carolina. If you're trying to move forward, you're trying to move on, that's got to end against South Carolina. My guy Randy from HB, from Dogs Cast, my guy Randy. What's up, Steven? What's up with you, Randy? Happy to have you in the show, man. Happy to have you in the show, Randy. Proud to have you in here. Let's see. I think I saw GT18 here. Let me go back up. Here. Got a lot of comments. Appreciate all of you guys for your comments. I'm going to be reading those. GT18, here we go. I have opinions, questions about the debacle we all witnessed against Vandy Saturday against SC. I hope to get some answers and closure, and I hope that we are all good. We saw some things, GT, against Vanderbilt that shouldn't have happened, but this week against South Carolina, here's the question. How do you handle this adversity? How do you bounce back? What is your answer? Under Nick Saban, and Saban didn't have a lot of just embarrassing losses, but when Saban did lose a game, the following game, Saban always had an answer. And that team went out there, and that team responded in the right way, normally pummeling that opponent after a loss. What is DeBoer's answer? How does he respond? How does he respond now against South Carolina? J-Dub writes in, committee now looks at strength of schedule versus wins and losses. Vandy loss only hurts that. Yes, the Vandy loss does hurt J-Dub, but now it's how does Alabama finish, right? How does Bama finish moving forward? How does Alabama finish? And it starts this week against South Carolina. How do they finish this game right here? Can it show, hey, that loss does not define what we are, who we are as a team? Can it bounce back? Can Kalen DeBoer bounce back? Can Kane Womack bounce back? Can Nick Sheridan bounce back? Most importantly, these guys, these players in the field, can they bounce back? Let's see. Damon Davis writes in, should have kept T-Rob. Landshark defense gave up a lot of points, and we are one of them. And a lot of people, Damon, feel that way. Should have kept T-Rob, should have kept them on staff, but, Greg Byrne didn't make that move. Alabama did not make that move. So you got to move with what you have right here. Sam writes in, Steve, is the SEC teleconference only accessible to members of the media? Yes, Sam, that's only acceptable to members of the media. That is only acceptable to members of the media right there. So the SEC coaches teleconference is only acceptable to media personnel. Let's see. Monica Hubbard writes in, Offense isn't the problem. It's the defense. Offense is not the biggest issue, Monica. You're correct. Although I do want to see the offense have more sustained drives and trust the backs with the run game more. But the offense isn't the biggest issue. The issue is on defense. When you look at communication, when you discuss guys being lost and the plays not coming in fast enough, when you discuss the defensive backs not playing with enough confidence, when you talk about playing the football in the air, turning your head to play the football. So yes, I agree with you. Offense isn't the bigger issue. The bigger issue here is the defensive side of the football. Don Parker, Stephen M., you forgot to add Bama must let Womack go. It can't hurt for Greg Byrne to give Robert Saleh a call to see if he would be interested in the DC position. I know I would. Robert Saleh, yeah, as a head coach, he's had issues as a defensive coordinator. Just simply as a defensive coordinator, he has been better suited in that area. But it also comes down to, Don, would Robert Saleh want to come and take that job, right? I mean, we can name coaches, we can name names, but does that coach want to come in and take this job? There are people still calling for Jeremy Pruitt to come back and take the job. And I know Pruitt has that 6-year show cause. It's now down to 5 years now. But would Pruitt want to come back and take the job? I mean, there are names out there that if you're not feeling Womack that you could have on your list, but would they want to come to Alabama and take this job here? But Robert Saleh will add that, for you, Don, Robert Saleh being your guy there. I see Damon Davis right saying, Stephen Rotai still got a hangover, still mad though. I mean, hey, Damon, as a Bama fan, I can understand. I can understand why the frustration, the hurt, this is unacceptable. And it's not just, you got several former Alabama players that feel the exact same way. But it's all about, at this point, how do you move on? How do you move forward? How do you take this anger, this frustration that you have, but take it out on South Carolina and take it out in a way that South Carolina's like, man, we ran into an absolute buzzsaw. That's Alabama football. Kickback right there. DeBoer giving off Mike DeBose vibes more than Saban vibes. Making excuses for this clown captain like making excuses for his clown captain like an abused spouse defending their abuser. Hey, Kickback with some strong words there. Woo! Well, hey, he mentioned Malachi's passion for Alabama football. Malachi Moore having his back. We need to have Malachi's back, and no suspension was in order for Malachi. He will play in this matchup here against South Carolina, but Kickback having his thoughts there. Damon Davis writes back, Stephen, do you want another DC? And if so, who? I mean, if I could have my pick, now if I had my pick at another DC, I would love to have Jeremy Pruitt back if I had my pick. I would love to have Jeremy Pruitt back. I would like if Alabama was able to go pull Glenn Schumann from Georgia. Those would just be my options. But, I mean, it all goes back to if you were able to get Pruitt on the phone, could Pruitt come back and coach for a King and DeBoer? Pruitt had no problem coaching for Nick Saban, but would he coach for a King and DeBoer? That's the question, right? The same thing with Glenn Schumann. Glenn Schumann didn't mind coaching for Nick Saban. Glenn Schumann doesn't mind coaching for a Kirby Smart. But would Glenn Schumann mind coaching for a King and DeBoer? That's the question. But those would be my two if I had a preference, either Jeremy Pruitt or Glenn Schumann. But let's see here. Kickback comes back with DeBoer doesn't have complete control of his team, and the defensive scheme he went with won't work in the SEC. Appreciate Kickback there for those thoughts. GT18, the buckling down should have started on the flight to Tuscaloosa after he accepted the job. The buckling down should have started then. The seriousness should have started there, right? Should have started there. But here is what's happened now. What happened last week? Now you look at that, like I said, that honeymoon stage being over. U.S. fans expecting, wanting, commanding that excellence. And in practice this week, we now hear from players, hey, he started that buckling down process. And, it all goes back to, for some players, it's Coach Saban was too hard. Coach Saban was too tough. Coach Saban didn't allow me as a player to express myself, me for a player to feel free. And now you get that coach that allows you to express yourself, that allows you to feel free, that's not that tough on you. And what are you getting? You're getting the best not being pulled out of you, right? A statement that I have always enjoyed making is you have to have difficult people, because difficult people get the vision across. Difficult people get the vision out. Difficult people get it done, right? When you have too many nice guys, too many yes men, that vision doesn't get out because they're catering to trying to make you feel better or make you feel good versus pulling the best out of you and making you at your full potential. Sometimes making you be at your full potential is uncomfortable. Sometimes making you reach your full potential, people got to say some stuff to push some buttons to get you to tick, right? That's what Nick Saban was so good at. He was so good at pushing your buttons, getting you to tick. And sometimes it didn't feel good, but it got you to tick. It got you to work. It got the job done. And that's the difficulty of it. Sometimes you got to be a difficult person to get the vision across. Easy people don't get the vision across. Sometimes it takes hard-nosed, it takes that to get the vision across. It 100% takes that to get the vision across. Hold on just a moment, people. We're going to get a word here from our sponsor and from our partners at Alumni Hall. We will be right back. We're out here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa. Oh, yeah, gotta get this. Gotta get one of these right here. Can't rock that Bama without this shirt right here, fresh polo. You gotta also rock the all pink, like Kanye West right there. Keychains, gotta get you some keychains. University of Alabama keychains. I'm telling you, if you are a die-hard Alabama fan and you're looking for some big-time apparel, this place has got everything. We're talking shirts, shoes, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, keychains. If you just a Tide fan. All right, folks, we're back in here. We are back into the action from the break. Sorry about that, folks. Get your stuff there at Alumni Hall. Our guys, Alumni Hall. We appreciate all that they do. But like I said, difficult people get the vision across. But we're back into your comments here. Kickback writes in, what proof is there that DeBozo has buckled down? Now, the media kickback is not allowed in practice. So we're not allowed in practices. But all we can take is what was said from the players, right? The players are saying that DeBoer has buckled down. We're not out there in practice, so we can't say if that's true or not. All we can do is take what the players have said and hope that it's the truth. Saturday, though, in this game against South Carolina, we'll get a first-hand look at what a buckled down hanging the board looks like. Damon Davis writes in, welcome to the SEC DeBoer on the wrong way. Look, it's Vandy. But any given Saturday, hey, you can get beaten any given Saturday when you're not prepared in the SEC. We got Jamarcus Thompson writes in, I want to see Ty Simpson at quarterback, some plays, and Milroe on an option with Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard in the game at the same time. So Jamarcus Thompson wanting some different wrinkles there from from Nick Sheridan. GT18 writes in, you can't instill discipline almost midway through the season. Players don't respect that. You can't. You got to start discipline early on. You got to. And I think DeBoer is now starting to see how much different Alabama is from every coaching stop he's been on. The expectation is different. The mindset is different. The level of discipline is different. The focus is different. The attention to detail is different. The passion is different, right? I think DeBoer is finally starting to see that. And he's starting to see that because every coach that has been through Alabama has found a way to take this program to the next level. Now, I understand the Mike DeBoses, the Dennis Franchonis, the Mike Schulas. They kind of get that bad rap at times. But Wallace Wade took it to a level of championships. Frank Thomas took it to a level of championships. Paul Bear Bryant elevated it to a level of championships. Gene Stallings continued that level with a championship at 92. I know Bill Curry and Ray Perkins didn't quite do as much there. But then Nick Saban took it to the gold standard of it's Alabama and then everything else. Saban took it to the gold standard. With his level of discipline, with his level of focus, with his level of attention to detail, Saban took it to the gold standard. And after Saban, the very next coach, U.S. Bama fans expect that same level of excellence. And when that level of excellence is not there, you as a fan call it out. You as a fan aren't feeling that. And that's your job. That's your role. When that level of excellence is not there, when it's not met, it is your responsibility as the diehard fan and as the consumer of Tide football to call it out. It is your responsibility to say, hey, this is not right. This is not Alabama football. This is not what needs to be happening here. So, absolutely, GT18, your thought right there. Don Parker writes in, the most disturbing thing about all of this, DeBoer took zero responsibility for the horrible performance against Vandy. After a bad loss, Bear owned it. Saban owned it. Obviously, not this dude. That was another thing. He mentioned in the post game. Yes, we're upset, but are you really upset? Does this really bother you? Did this really light a fire under you? Did this really tear you up inside? Of course, he also said, we're upset, but we're not going to lose our cool over it. Nick Saban lost his cool over it, Bear Bryant lost his cool over it, and that forced them to be better. And that forced, them to have their coaches on staff and their players to be better. But once again, how does this have Alabama to move on and bounce back? You see, Christian Hughes writes in, yes, as a player or an Alabama fan, if you're not ticked off about this loss, check your pulse. That was my main thing, Christian. Check your pulse. If you are not expecting the best from your team every time out, you have got to look at yourself and go, am I doing myself the justice as an Alabama fan? Period. There you go. David writes in, we need to establish the run before we start losing our running backs to the portal. The run game has to be established. Going back to last week, you had Justice Hayes and Jim Miller combined for 21 carries. Well, not 21, but for 11 carries versus, Vanderbilt, who Diego Pavia and Cedric Alexander, they combined for 41 of Vanderbilt's 54 carries. So you've got to get the ball to your running backs. Don Parker writes in, I also need to put this one out there. We made excuses for Freddie Roach due to Pete. Not any longer. Roach needs to go too. Gee, wonder why Otis is leaving. Duh. Hey, there's a point there. There's a point there. Like with Coach Roach, I mean, a solid recruiter, strong recruiter, but you have not had a first-round defensive lineman since Quentin Williams. And that was a 2019 NFL draft where Quentin went number 3 overall to the Jets after his 2018 season at Alabama. But Quentin Williams was not a Freddie Roach project. Quentin Williams was recruited by Bo Davis, developed by Bo Davis, coached by Bo Davis. If you look at all of the marquee defensive linemen that went in the first round for Alabama, those guys were all recruited, coached, and developed by Bo Davis. So when you look at a Freddie Roach right now, not developing these guys into being first-round monsters, I wholeheartedly agree with that. J-Dub agree with Don Parker, absolutely. Black Elvis writes in, make stops. Not worried about the offense. Defense has got to be on point. It's got to be right. It's got to be right. Let's see. Roll Tide and rise up. I gave Freddie grace because of Pete, but it seems like he can't coach up the D-line. So roll Tide and rise up. Agree with Don Parker. Bama Mick writes in, this is a big problem with our country's culture, not just football culture. In 10 years, we won't recognize anything. Roll Tide. That's Bama Mick with his thought there. Pastor Dave writes in, what's happening? What's going on, Pastor Dave? We got Willard B. Does Kane know it? Look, hey, if you cannot move on with South Carolina, the fans are going to make him know it. If you can't move on and take care of South Carolina. Damon Davis writes in, I wonder if Womack will be retained. He's worse than the last DC. Right now, this game right here with Womack, he has got to show something. He's got to show something. Because if he does not show anything, that there's going to be more and more massive rumblings here. Let's see. Sam writes in, the Bama defense has been getting worked over ever since the first half of the spring game. Bama's defense has given up a 17-play drive against Western Kentucky, 15-play drive for South Florida, 22-play drive to Wisconsin, 12-play drive to Georgia. Good on your part, Sam, for bringing those up. They have given up plays. They have given up scoring drives. They have given up a lot of explosives. I mean, the last 2 weeks, you get up 74 points on the defensive side here of the football. Damon Davis writes in, here we go. Our offense has to score 50-plus points if our defense can't stop. If our defense can't stop a Colt. Hey, look, Alabama's defense has got to straighten this out. It got to straighten this out. You got to win third down. You got to have a pass rush. You got to get off the field. Defense has got to straighten this out. Pastor Dave writes in, the defense is bad. We just lost to Vandy. Defense is bad. Defense is looking bad right now. Defense is looking very bad right now. So where do you go from here? South Carolina, how do you bounce back? South Carolina, how do you move forward? Coach Warren writes in, Roll Tide, check TDA, your email. Hey, we will definitely check that one. We'll definitely get on that there. Coach Warren, I appreciate that. Don Parker, why is everyone shocked? They have not played to the standard all season except for the first quarter of the Georgia game. I hate to say this, but was I telling lies? DeBoer equals Ray Perkins 2.0. There's Don Parker. He's been saying it. DeBoer has been giving him Ray Perkins vibes since the hiring came in there. Let's see. Kickback writes in less than a year, DeBoer has destroyed Saban's standard and turned Bama into a Big 12 team. Well, that is something coming from Joel Klatt, Fox Big Noon of Fox Sports. Joel Klatt said the same thing. He has said the same thing. Damon Davis writes in, Here we go. What young, energetic DC is available, Steven? Young, energetic DC. That's the thing, Dave. Damon, that's the thing. That's the thing. Pete Golding was a young, energetic DC, but that didn't work. Here is Kane Womack, young, energetic DC that has coached in the 4-2-5 defense with his dad, but that hasn't worked the last couple of games to start this season. So is young, energetic the answer? Is young, energetic the answer? Or is old school, I know how to coach, I know what I'm doing, I know how to put a system together, I know how to get these players to buy into what I'm doing. These players won't look confused, they won't look lost, so we can put the smack down on people. Is that the direction you need to go versus young, energetic DC? Because it was young, energetic DC with Pete Golding. That didn't work. Now you got young, energetic DC with Kane Womack. And so far, that does not seem like the way to go when you look at what's happening right now. But appreciate your point there, Damon Davis. Don Parker writes in, oh, that offense got issues too. Let's not pretend. The offense, and the thing with the offense is you got to trust your backs. You got to trust the run game. And then number two, you got to have a consistent number two receiver stepping up behind Ryan Williams. Let's see here. Christ Warrior writes in, I still like KD. It's Womack I'm worried about. It always feels like a rigid up defense, nothing legit, like Saban used to scheme up. And that's the thing. With Saban, it was always adjustments. Even if a team got the better of Alabama's defense in a play or in a series or in a half under Coach Saban, Saban always found a way to adjust, right? That's the problem so far with Kane Womack. The in-game, in-quarter, moment-by-moment adjustments. That's what we're not seeing. And that's what's causing a lot of the frustration from USC fans. You're not seeing those adjustments that we saw in years under Coach Saban. Pastor Dave writes in, I have no expectations for this team. I will not be surprised if we lose Saturday. There is Pastor Dave's statement there. Bama Mick writes in, I'm getting tired of all positive coach speak. Here we go. That's the main. Bama Mick has hit the nail on the head that will sum all of this up for U.S. fans. The all the time positive coach speak. Sometimes it is okay to be upset and to let that upsetness show. And I think that's the thing that y'all want to see from Coach DeBoer. If you're upset, that's fine. Let it show. Let it happen. When Coach Saban was mad, he let it show. He let it happen. And y'all as fans weren't mad about that. As a matter of fact, y'all encouraged it. Saban, get mad. Throw something. Pitch your fit. Get mad. We're okay with that. There was even a point where I think Miss Terry told Nick Saban, baby, you're getting too mellow. Get mad. Throw something, baby. Pitch your fit. And Saban did that. And y'all are like, there's the Saban we know. There it is. I mean, does Kagan's wife, does Miss Nicole DeBoer have to say, baby, get mad. Pitch your fit. It's okay. I might have to put in a request to Miss Nicole DeBoer. Miss Nicole, please, encourage your husband. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to pitch a fit. Bama Nation not going to get mad. Bama Nation is not going to feel some type of way because you pitched a fit out there on the field. You a coach. It's part of your job to pitch a fit out there. Maybe I should write a message there to Miss Nicole to let Kagan know it's okay to pitch a fit sometimes. J-Dub writes in, Steven, it's not how they finished the South Carolina game, but we have to dominate the rest of the season and leave no doubt as the kids' eye tape proclaimed. Hey, look, absolutely. It's not just a South Carolina game. It's leaving no doubt throughout the remainder of the season, but it does start here with the South Carolina game. Let's see here. Damon Watson writes in, Darren Watson, we really screwed up on the score of the Bama-Vandy game, didn't we? I mean, hey, it's what happened, Darren. It's what happened. Monica Petaway writes in, what's up, Bama Nation? Hope all is well, Steve and Monica. I'm doing fantastic. I get to do what I enjoy doing, talking to you, the Bama Nation. Jay Clark writes in, these fans are spoiled. Bama will be fine. That's part of growing with the team. Hey, Jay Clark, you are on the boat of moving forward, right? So how do you move forward against South Carolina? I've expressed this. You know, you go out there, number one, establish the run game. Communication defensively has got to be better. You got to win on third down. After Ryan Williams, other receivers have got to step up and take this ownership. If a number 5, having more sustained drives offensively. CJ 18-18. Could this be Alabama's Tebow moment? Could be. Is this Alabama's Tebow moment? It could be. We got my guy Don Parker with that $5 donation, dropping the love in there. Appreciate that from Don. Stephen Bear didn't lose his cool. He would lose his you-know-what, right? DeBoer needs to understand this is Bama. He keeps this up, he will be gone. Monica Hubbard writes in, it looked like Bama players practiced more of a celebration dance than covering and tackling and roll tide. Appreciate Monica with that $4.99 in the super chats. Appreciate that from Monica. Don writes back in with that $5 donation. Let's not overlook the issues with the offense as well. The offense's major issues with the play calling and lack of run game. Let's keep it 100. Let's see here. We got Christian Hughes writes in, Stephen M., can Bama put a package together and offer Bo Davis a deal and bring him back to coach the defense? Well, Bo Davis right now is at LSU. If you could put together a deal, hey, I'm all for it. Bo Davis right now is the D-line coach at LSU. Let's see, Kickback writes in, Roman Harper called out this defensive scheme from the go, not getting third down stops, not locking down the red zone, not creating turnovers. All of those things have to happen for Womack's D to work. Correct. You have to be great on third down. You have to be great on red zone defense. You have to create takeaways. And the last against Vanderbilt, that did not happen. Let's see here. Jerome Lawson writes in, Stephen M., the result from that Vandy game has me sitting in bed eating ice cream like a chick that got dumped. Wake up, coaching staff. I'm riding with the Tide, Roll Tide family. It has everybody, Jerome, feeling that way. As much as you want to move on, that moment has all of you feeling that way because it's a difference between losing to a team like Georgia or losing to a team like LSU where you gave your all and the ball just didn't bounce your way. You as a fan, you can flush that and move on because you go, well, hey, at least it was a team like Georgia. At least it was a team like LSU. At least it was a marquee power. And we gave our all. We played our best. We emptied the clip. We left it all on the field. The ball just didn't bounce our way. But when it's Vanderbilt and you get worked by that team, yes, it causes you to feel this way. Even though you want to move on and you got South Carolina this week and your focus needs to be on South Carolina, you as a fan, you can't help it because it's like we lost to this team and a team that Bama shouldn't have lost to. But Coach Warren writes in, our defense was beat at the line of scrimmage. Defense questionable. Game-to-game play call and scheme. Hey, Bama got beat at the line of scrimmage. Got beat in the trenches. And where does that start? Freddie Roach, defensive line coach. You get beat in the trenches. It starts with his position group. That position group has got to step it up. And maybe it's just time to play some younger players. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just time to throw James Smith. Maybe it's just time to throw Damon Payne. Maybe it's just time to throw Jordan Renard. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just time. Maybe it's just time to play some young dudes that don't care. They want to be out there creating, causing havoc. Maybe it's just time. Just time, man. Maybe it's just time. Coach Warren comes back with time of possession. 12 of 18 converted third downs. 2 number 2s on the field. And the game at the same time, the turning point in the game. Yes, that penalty was a bad penalty. Giving up 12 of 18 third downs was not it. I mean, it's just not it. Okay, J-Dub writes in, roll tide, roll. Appreciate J-Dub right there. JD Long, my guy, Stephen M. Appreciate that, JD. Happy to have you in here. All of you guys in here. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. My man Randy writes in, Steven, you wild out here, dog. Keep up the good work, man. Hey, look, Randy, it's not the fact that I'm wilding out here, Randy. It's the fact that I'm trying to get it from both sides of the coin. I'm trying to get it from the fans that are ready to move on. Vandy's over with, done, let's move forward. But then the fans that go, no, I'm still not over this loss. I am trying to walk the fine line of saying, hey, it is time to move on. But at the same time, those that are still fuming with passion from what happened last week, appeasing that as well. But I appreciate you, Randy, for seeing the balancing act that I'm doing here. Flyboy G, my boy G from Raleigh writes in, Steve, I told you, I don't see us winning another natty with the Roach coaching the line. Hey, G from Raleigh, you sure said it. You sure said it. You said it. Bama has not had a defensive lineman go in the first round since Quentin Williams. Freddie Roach has not produced a first-round defensive lineman. Freddie Roach has not produced a defensive lineman that is just getting after the quarterback on an everyday basis. Let's see here. Don Parker writes in, man, this loss to Vandy had me had him ticked off to the highest level of, yeah, but I was not surprised at all. So Don Parker said this loss had him all sorts of everywhere, and he was not surprised by it. So that's Don showing you why it's important for Alabama fans to have that passion. The know-it-all writes in, we ain't got no Tebow in terms of a Tim Tebow that had the speech of that loss is never going to happen again. That speech that Tebow gave for Florida against Ole Miss in 2008, and also that Tebow that just had that passion that just brought everybody together. Jeremy Sanders writes in, the whole team and coaching staff got nut punched by Vandy. Yes, it did. That whole team, I said it, the whole team got their cookies taken, no milk. Yeah, I said that. Cookies taken, no milk, straight up. But how does it bounce back here against South Carolina and the remainder of the season? We're going to have to see this. Damon Davis. When Bo Davis was available, why didn't Saban go back after him after Saban did not retain him? Steve, remember, he was suspended, if I can remember, but I love Coach Davis. That's my uncle. Coach Davis was suspended for a year. I don't know why Saban did not go back after him. I really don't know why. Here. We got Stonatino writes in, the players lack the real Bama standard. They've been lacking discipline since they've been getting paid that bad. Tino, that's a point there, but that's where college football is, Tino. There's no turning back. NIL is a part of college football now. Some people love it. Some people feel like it's taking the hunger and the drive and the mentality to want to work away from the players. I have been a part of that camp, but what can you do? This is what college football is now. College football is about NIL now. That's just how it is. Latoya Billingsley, Roll Tide, Steven and chat. Roll Tide to you, Latoya. Randy writes in, don't get it twisted, brother. I'm having a good time over here. Randy, I know you having a good time. Randy, I know you are having an absolute ball over there. I know you having a good time. I know you are. David writes in, maybe it's time for Keon maybe it's time for Keon to just in on C-ball, the C-ball, get ball mentality. Maybe it's time to put Keon Keeley out there. I would hope to see Keon Keeley out there. Damon Davis. Freddie Roach needs to coach the linebackers. That was his position at Alabama. Now, I, for one, have said that several times. I, for one, have said that Freddie's been coaching out of position. I've said that several times. I've even sat there and said Sal Sunseri should be coaching the defensive lineman. But Alabama let Sal Sunseri go. Because if you remember, when Sal was at Alabama 2021, Sal had Will Anderson with his best season. Sal also had Dallas Turner as a freshman just killing people. And then you let Sal go. You just don't let coaches go like that. Gentavious Townsend. Saban said something earlier this year about getting the right guys from the portal. Vandy got the right guys. They're not the same Vandy, but they still shouldn't be eating from the same table. Hey, Vandy got the right guys. But at the same time, Bama's got all of these players, these 4 and 5 stars, as they say, on paper. It shouldn't have been, even like that, but there it is. Let's see here. Gerald Jackboy writes in, too many diamond chains, Gucci sunglasses, and hair extensions. Hey, Gerald Jackboy with his thoughts right there. Stonatino writes back in, these players don't take that script A serious. They've been lacking discipline even under Saban. We don't got them real dogs. Hey, and that goes back to recruiting. Going back out there and getting those players that it's Bama or nothing. Going back to getting those players that didn't have a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. Going back to getting them guys, that some got to give type guys. Latoya Billingsley. Tim Smith said that DeBoer has buckled down since the Vandy loss. Hopefully we'll see it Saturday. Defense has to tackle, though. Offense has to sustain drives, and they can start by running the football. Absolutely. Latoya. Let's see here. Don Parker, everyone talking about us not having a Tebow speech. Last thing we need is another dang speech from anyone in that locker room, especially losing to Vandy. Hey, Don Parker, showing you the passion right there. Appreciate everybody being a part here of the show, everybody being a part here of the conversation. I mean, you guys have been phenomenal. We're going to get to a couple more of your thoughts here. Here we go. Sweet Home Bama, 24. Roll Tide, Stephen. Roll Tide there. Sweet Home Bama, 24. Let's see here. GT 18. Here we go. Man, Womack calling the plays on a small piece of paper barely covers up his mouth. That should be a red flag. How complex could that be? And the defense isn't complex at all. He's calling it from a small piece of paper. So you should be able to make changes, make adjustments. You should be able to do that. But appreciate all of you guys checking out the show this evening, being a part of the show this evening. This weekend, though, how does Bama bounce back? How does Bama move forward? That's the focus this week. Can it go into South Carolina? Protecting the football, running the football, sustaining drives, communicating on defense, and having other guys outside of Ryan Williams step up. We shall see. But as always, folks, you want the best in news, notes, information, conversation, commentary on your favorite program, that being the Alabama Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone for your audio needs. Check us out. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio. Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll be back on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can subscribe right now to touchdownalabama.com. Get that subscription now to touchdownalabama.com to have all of your Bama in the palm of your hands. You don't want to miss out on this. Subscribe to touchdownalabama.com. Also subscribe to TDA Plus, the video hub, to get all of the incredible video as well. Folks, as always, appreciate you guys for making this your show, your spot, your network for all things Bama. Got to appreciate you guys for that. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. You've been listening to them own words.